Hello everyone, I'm doing great. I'm gonna complain about Jeran's moderation
Hola.
in the debate. He was too passive, too quiet. He just used that hat came from Back to the Future 2 letters on the head. I don't know if it's via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or whatever. But no, the debate was amazing. I think we talked that off air, and I think it was one of the most organized and well done debate I ever witnessed because it was really in terms of the respect one of each other, the times, everything was great, and you can. I really recommend everyone to take a look because you can take a lot of things from that debate, and the rest. It's a pleasure to be again in the Blockbuster show.
Yep, awesome. Very cool. Yeah, well, they both pretty much behaved themselves. I mean, Austin definitely did. There's no doubt about that. Because, Austin understands full well what it means to be just muted and shut up and be muted while your host talks over you and, criticizes you and stuff like that. That is definitely not the way to handle the debate. So Austin took that to heart, and he was very, very cordial. Jaron only had to say a few things to what's his nuts? What's his name?
Brian.
Uh, Bryant. Yeah, to Bryant. But overall, I thought it was amazing. They really did behave themselves.
Yeah, I thought so too. I wasn't sure if the open dialogue, because I never think that it never goes well. Like whenever you're watching modern day debates or any debate channel, you get the opening, you get the rebuttal, and then when it gets into the back and forth, it just turns into a disaster. So I kind of was thinking, well, if it does start going bad, we'll just do like 1 minute each. But they were able to get through it. But Bryant did want to talk over most of the time when he listened.
Man, your hat did all. I think it was the power of the hat in this case.
If Bryant even read it.
I read it.
Yeah, that was a joke because the last time we had a debate with him, he got really frustrated and at one point said, "I don't want to talk to Austin." So I
Yeah,
think
I know.
I think Dave actually had shirts made. I think Dave took a selfie one time in a shirt that says, "I don't want to talk to Austin."
I know. That's crazy. But so I don't know. I mean, uh, I thought that um, he was Bryant was very much in denial about everything. I mean, the sad part about it, and that's why I named this show "Locked Up Tightly in the Box," because he's not a PhD, he's a BS and an MA in physics, and you know that's far enough indoctrinated that he simply is unable at this point to accept any other paradigm other than what he has been told. So even though Austin was trying to explain to him what was going on, with the electrostatics and all that stuff, he didn't want to comprehend it. He didn't want to acknowledge it. He just, you know, didn't want to have any of it, which was crazy. But
I kept asking for peer-reviewed papers, which is literally ridiculous. It's ridiculous for somebody in the scientific world to not understand how something that is completely outside of what they currently believe would be let in through peer review.
exactly,
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
there are people with PhDs behind their names right now that are complaining about peer review and their ideas not being allowed to be shared or even peer reviewed at all.
Right.
Because they're going against the Big Bang and saying, well, this is how everything started.
Yeah.
And they can't even get peer reviewed.
No, of course, and if you want to take, everything of your belief is going to be in not just belief, but also what you study is going to be in the peer review. You're going to die waiting until someone contradicts the academy. I mean, it's never going to be in that way. And also, I don't know if it's going to be another debate with the same guy, but why they don't talk about nothing in terms of the curvature of the earth and long distances
Yeah,
observation, things like that.
very specifically, he wanted to just talk about those two things, which I didn't know either.
Okay. Okay.
But maybe they'll do it again. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess he ran over to McToon's channel or something right after, which I didn't know until today or yesterday. But so that was a little bit weird that he's buddy with those guys. But we knew that because I started seeing that he was just showing all of Wolfie's work So
I see.
yeah, so I mean, this is the problem when you get stuck in that box and you go look for. If you're like, I'm going to go debunk flat Earth, well, then you're going to find Wolfie and Sly Sparkane, and you're going to find these guys. And if you just believe in that religion, then you're going to latch on to whatever that religion is dictating. So that's what he does, and he does sound like he wants to be open-minded about it, but he really thinks that he's right, thinks that he's so right, thinks that what we're saying is so dumb. And I just don't know if those guys realize what they look like to an audience that has been paying attention to this debate for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. That's the problem. Is I don't think they realize that they think they might even think they come across as smart. Believe it or not.
Yeah, and for someone who is all about, oh, I need, peer-reviewed papers, this and that, and then he goes and uses someone like Wolfie as his proof, who nobody even knows his name, nobody's seen him. This is nobody that you're using as your proof now. So the double standards were a little ridiculous.
There's so many things that I see coming up now, like that, and then there's also the you can't quote people anymore. Quoting doesn't, even though he opened up his argument with an Einstein quote, if Austin tried to bring an Einstein quote later, he just said, well, just quotes are words. Quotes are words. It's like, yeah, but this is the guy who is giving you your relativity that you say has been tested a million times over and is perfect and everything. And he's telling you that there's no experiment that can prove the Earth spins. Oh, you're taking it out of context. How? He said there's no experiment that can prove the Earth spins. Well, you didn't read the end. Yeah, we know that the next sentence is, but the Earth goes around the sun. But that's what's hilarious, is because he's saying what can be tested and verified and scientifically proven or shown, and then he's following that up with, but this is the belief, right? So we can't do this. I come to the conclusion there is no way for us to tell, and there is no way for this, but the Earth goes around the sun, even though Michelson Morley showed a much slower speed than required to, in fact, so slow that they just called it an experimental error, when really it's probably about the same as the ether or the sky going around us, which ended up being about that same number. So it's I see that tactic a lot, and he's not going to listen to new ideas because of what it entails. If you start to, and I've always talked about science walking on a tightrope. Like a tightrope walker can never look down. They put their hands out and they look forward and they just kind of walk and feel the wire and they go fine. If they look down is when they're going to take a chance of falling. And science is the same way. They can never look at their foundations. They have to look forward, progress forward, go forward. Because the second that they go and look at their foundations, the whole house of cards is going to fall. And all of it is gravity. Every bit of this nonsense of dark matter, dark energy, all the problems that they have, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120, and the cosmic microwave background and the axis of evil, and you name it, everything is stemming from the fact that they cannot get rid of gravity. We hear Richard Feynman tell us that if you have a theory and it doesn't meet observation, you throw out the theory, right? They didn't do that. They have a theory and they observed that it doesn't match, and so they made up things like dark energy, well, they must be there for our theory to be correct, which is completely antithesis of science. So what you get in the end is a completely convoluted, messed up paradigm that these people fall into. I was listening to this little clip of Austin with one of his guys he was debating, and the guy is just going off and he's yelling about redshift, and he says, but we observe redshift. We just look up in the sky and that's what we see, and this is what they've been taught, and it's what I believed, right? I mean, when you hear